What is going on, guys? It is Frankie here, and today is Thursday. It is almost, the end of the week. One more day left, and then it will be Friday, and everybody will be happy, and hopefully the weather, is going to be on track, going to be a nice, easygoing weekend. But, I'm not predictor of the future, so who knows? But in news today, I'd like to sit down and talk about my mental, health story or whatever, and the things that I've got. So, if you are sensitive, to this subject, or if it is a trigger for you, please do not watch. Please don't, because it's only just going to make you feel worse, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to, go into the comments and read like, oh, you just made me relapse or whatever. So just a little advisory before, we're going to get into things. But anyways, I want to say sometime around October in 2015, I was admitted into the mental health ward for depression, anxiety, insomnia, and suicidal, tendencies and self harm. Um, I've been dealing with depression ever since. God, I don't even know. I want to say 10 plus years or whatever. I'm just gonna go with that because it has been a long and hard journey, trust me. Things are not easy for me to deal with. Um so like I said, I have, depression, anxiety, insomnia, borderline personality, and then I also have a learning disability too with math, and I have ADD. A lot of crap to deal with. But yes, anyways, keep it on track or whatever. So I was admitted. I self admitted myself into the mental health ward or whatever. Um, this was like, 2 years ago or whatever. I came to work. I was so beyond sad. It was hard for me. I came into work and I said that I wanted to kill myself for good, and I did try earlier that morning before my stepdad had to drive me into work, and that's basically when reality, slapped me in my face and said, "Hey, you got to deal with this now. You can't just, obviously, the cutting isn't working, ignoring people isn't working, pushing people away isn't working, nothing was working for me at that point. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And my boss, my boss, and like the head supervisor, I was working at a nursing home at this point in time or whatever, and they just said to me like, look, you're dealing with a lot of crap, and I can, heavily understand. And thank God, my boss, being the kind, caring person that she was just like, just finish up your shift and I'm going to take you to the hospital. And she was just like, are you sure you want to go? Are you sure you want to do this? And she told me, well, I think you need it. You need help. You need professional help, you know. And I was contemplating it at the time. My cutting was getting so bad to the point where I couldn't even, cut on my left arm anymore. I had moved down to both my legs, and to be honest, it was horrible looking. I hated it. I was in so much pain. And so, I went there or whatever. I was, to be honest, I was really nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Um, and so I self admitted myself. My boss was there to, say, like, look, I brought him up here or whatever. He needs help and all that stuff. And so I signed the sheet and went in, had to take off all my clothes and all that stuff. And to be honest, that night that I got admitted, I had to wait a good couple of hours, and that's when, you know, reality sunk in for me that holy shit, I'm here. I'm actually here, and I have to deal with it. I have to deal with all of these problems that I have carried on my back, and on my plate for so long that I can't avoid them anymore. I can't ignore them. Something's got to change, something's got to give. And that was you know, that I started crying. I was an awful mess. Some of the staff members were really kind of rude or whatever, but I understand it's not their fault. They were doing their job, and I was really scared. I didn't want to be there and all that stuff, but later that night I didn't get a room until 1 in the morning. So I basically had to wait till 1 a.m. to get a room. And, luckily enough, I was lucky enough to have a roommate who had, you know, been there before, is dealt with all that shit. And she, I was just like, can I ask you for advice? And she said, well, if you honestly, want to recover and get the hell out of here as soon as possible, do what you're told, listen to the staff, go to groups, participate in every little possible thing that you can. And that is, that will be a for sure way that just letting them, the staff know and everything that that you have to grasp, reality and just deal with it pretty much. And luckily for me, everybody that the patients there, we all got along fine. It was kind of like, a little family, and I went to the group circles and all that stuff, and I was listening to everybody else, and it's just like, you know shit, we are all kind of going through similar things. And I just said, wow, you know man, oh god, I was just a mess the first day. I cried. I got a therapist, and I was crying with her, and I said, I miss, being home. I miss my dog. I want my dog here. Because, before I had to put my dog down, she was the one that always made me feel better and all that stuff. And it was just, oh my god. It was just, I ended up crying or whatever and all that stuff. And I don't like to cry. I honestly don't, because that's just the type of person that I am. But man, it was just, everything was just came all out and stuff like that. And a week went by or whatever, because I think I came on a Friday or whatever and waited through the weekend. At the end of the, or no, maybe I went in, maybe it was I don't remember what day specifically it was, but I was there for a whole week, and doctors and all that stuff, gave me advice, and I finally, they finally prescribed me, medication that I honestly needed for myself. And throughout that whole time, like, I'm so glad that I went, um because when I tried to kill myself that morning or whatever, I was just like, I said to myself, I can't deal with this shit anymore. I'm too fucking, depressed. I am way too emotionally drained to deal with anything. Like, I need a fucking emotional break, from everything and everyone. I wasn't on Facebook for a while. I decided not to, talk to anyone for a little bit, and, all this stuff. And eventually, some of my family members found out. And of course, they're going to be worried. They're going to, say, like, hey, what's up? We didn't, kind of know about this until, word to mouth got around and all that stuff. And, I have a really good family. They all called me up and they said, I hope you're, doing okay and stuff and that. And I'm glad to see that, that you're in there and, you're not at home doing, some stupid shit that I didn't need to be doing. And so I'm really thankful for that. And then after I got dismissed or whatever, I had to go to this 6-week therapy, like discharge group or whatever. I had to do it because that was the only way that I could, be fully done with everything. I had to do it, and honestly, um, it was kind of boring but informational at the same time because, I was sitting in a room with people, we were all going, through, some of the same things and, different shit and all that. And man, the hospital saved my life. And luckily enough, a couple of days in or whatever, I was just like, Mom, you need to bring me some clothes. I want some fucking coffee, like some real coffee and Mountain Dew and everything. And, I could bring in CDs too, thank the fucking Lord, because I was about to lose my damn mind. I listened to My Chem or whatever, and, they've saved my life, plenty of times. And so, that's what got me through, the rest of my hospital stay was My Chem or whatever. Thank God, thank God for that. Oh, man. And so, everything was done with or whatever, and my mom wanted me to go back to work, right away after I was done with everything. And I just said to her, I'm not ready yet. That's kind of like a too soon thing. I want, some time off. And, thankfully my work said, oh, it's filed under a medical thing, we'll give you some time off or whatever. Then again, I guess like some other companies would be like, no, we're gonna have to let you go. That's just, too much time that you're taking off or whatever and stuff like that. So, I was lucky enough to, uh, that my job, got kept for me and that I had a job, to go back to, and I had, people that supported me to come home to, and my dog, and, it was so over emotional. And, the more time I said to myself, like, dude, just keep going to, like, therapy and take your meds, and, things are gonna get better just in due time, time, you know, I'm, man, like, I'm the type of person, I'm kind of impatient, and I don't like to, wait for things. But I said to myself, you know what, dude, you'll get better. Progress is progress, even if it's, just little baby steps, one at a time. And I was just like, alright, I can do that or whatever. And my friends, understood better. They were more accepting of, like, oh, I didn't know things were honestly that bad. Like, they didn't even think about it that way, because I wouldn't, it's not like, I came out and, like, told my business to everybody and their fucking mom. it took me a while to say, hey, I really needed the help. I was, going through some shit, and, I was unwinding so fast, like I couldn't hold myself together anymore. And I had to pick up the pieces slowly but surely, some of myself isn't, that some of the pieces aren't there because, I've left them with people and, places and other things. And so they have, you know, pieces of me that I'll probably, never, get back. And, they do say, like, once you're going, going through, something like this, it's hard to get your old self back. It it's hard because you don't really know who you were before. You don't know who the person you were before. You were so sad and empty and broken and all this crap. And I heavily agree with that. I do agree with, you're never gonna be the same old person again, once you go through all that. Shit's gonna change, people are gonna change, life is an ongoing process. There are, other things, that made, my depression worse, with my best friend, killing herself at the age of 15, and I think it was my senior year. That was the worst fucking time ever. That was hell. That year was total hell, and I hated it. I was I shut off for a while. I think that was just, a really big eye opener that, look, that could have, like, let's just say, if we switched lives, that could have been me. That could have been me my senior year. If I did that, everybody, would be so lost and so just so sad. And I didn't want to, make people sad. I want to make people happy, and I don't want them, to think like, oh, I was just being selfish, and that's, why I did it or whatever. That's not exactly, the case either. And it's just like, with that, and I was just like, dude, something's got to give. I'm sure it'll get better after high school. Things will get better. And they really didn't necessarily, like, they didn't get like, oh my god, like, worse, but they got pretty down to the bare minimum. And so yeah, I mean, and now I'm finally, I think, 6 months plus, I think, free of self-harm. I haven't had, like, a negative suicidal thought in a while. Um, I don't know. I'm much better now. I've been on this medication for like 16 or 17 months now, is what my doctor told me. And he was just like, "Well, you seem to have, come a long way. You're more responsible. You know, I drive now, have my license, I have a job, shit's real. This is adult life now, and this is, what I have to deal with on a daily basis. And yeah, sometimes life is gonna get you down, but you know what? You have to pick yourself, back up, either, with your family, or, by yourself, or with someone. And man, like, I could share a lot of other things, but I don't know. I feel like, that's it. If I got through this, you can get through this. I know you can. And if you don't think you can, come and talk to me. I've been through some shit. Even though I'm technically, 23 years old, you know, no 23-year-old should have to, sit and suffer in silence, for so long before you begin to crack, and you can't deal with it anymore. And then all of a sudden you're sitting in a freaking hospital wondering, like, where did my life go? Why did it, get up to this point? And your mental health is a very serious thing, and I am a firm believer in, taking care of yourself. Always, always, always put yourself first. I know that might be, a selfish thing, but, if you're not happy, take care of yourself. You always, 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 always got to do maintenance on yourself. There's always something that can be done better or handled differently, or just to be thought about differently or looked at differently. Like, it does get better, give it time. You don't, if you're going through, a rough relationship, or, some of the sorts, and you just say, man, I want to kill myself, I can't take this anymore. Please, I advise you, please don't, because if you do, you will make someone so fucking heartbroken. Their heart will literally drop to the pit of their fucking stomach and be so miserable for I don't know how long. It will just totally break their heart. It will make them so sad. Like, it will just, oh man, please don't do that. Please, please, please. I advise you not to do that. Holy shit. Like, I went to her funeral, and the wake, I hated it. I cried like a little baby. I cried so hard. And it is, it, I don't want anybody to be like this. Don't keep it inside, because it's going to eat at you and eat at you and eat at you, and the thoughts going through your head and everything else, it's going to tear you up inside, and you're going to become, just this person that you don't even know who it is. When you're looking in the mirror, is this, you question yourself and say, is that really me? Is that really the person that I have become because of this dark cloud, you know, something just caging me in, so fucking tightly that you can't even, like, act like yourself anymore. You can't even, like, have, like, happy thoughts, because it's just so negative and dark and just draining. I've been there, done that, you know, enough is enough. I want to be happy. It is definitely the time. I'm still young. I got my whole life ahead of me. I want happy thoughts, positive vibes, positive people in my life, and I've kind of, kicked out, a couple of people in my life who are just, constantly bringing me down. I don't need that. I don't need, bad vibes, because then that's just going to bring me down to your level, and I don't need that. I want to be positive and happy and, feel good. I want to be happy for once in my freaking life, and, finally, I feel like I am starting to come out of this hole, and I can, finally see the light, and I'm, grasping towards it. Baby steps, what I have to, take, then I will do, definitely. And I think that's about it. That about wraps it up, I think. This video is pretty long. So, um, that is all, and I will see you guys. I don't know when I'll make a next video. I gotta think about things to talk about, otherwise the video's just gonna suck. It's just gonna drag on for a couple of minutes, and you're gonna sit there and say, why am I watching this? There is no point. It is not funny. It is boring. It is dumb as hell, and all that. So yeah. Alright, well, you guys have a happy Thursday, and, a good rest of the weekend. Enjoy it, kick back, relax, do things that you enjoy, be with the people that you love. Positive vibes, man. Positive fucking vibes. And I will see you guys in the future. Have a good night, guys.